Alright, so boom. I'm gonna react to this millionaire fake gurus that went broke.
Fake gurus, the people teaching you how to make money, how to get rich, and escape the 9 to 5, are usually the worst with money of all, building their huge reputations on foundations of nothing but sand. And in this video, we're going to be going over fake gurus that went broke. Starting with one of the most popular and beloved fake gurus out there, Robert Kiyosaki. Now this will be controversial. Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the biggest books in the financial niche. It's a bible for anyone trying to start out making money. And Robert Kiyosaki, the man who wrote this book, built his reputation as a savvy financial investment guru, with his popularity soaring and his book reaching the #1 charts on Amazon. But more and more recently, he's being exposed as a hypocrite, charlatan, and a bold-faced liar. As financial gurus, experts in making money, don't usually file for bankruptcy, and they are known for being in severe debt. However, Kiyosaki is now known for both, and he proudly admits this. He has a huge history of failed businesses, dating all the way back to the 1970s. His most notable bankruptcy came in 2012, when his company Rich Global LLC was ordered to pay approximately $24 million to Learning Annex, an American education company based in New York City. But Kiyosaki's company lacked the necessary funds to fulfill this obligation, and subsequently filed for bankruptcy. According to reports, Learning Annex had entered into an agreement with Kiyosaki, whereby he would provide them with a portion of the profits generated from his speaking engagements, or in exchange for booking him to promote his book. However, Kiyosaki took back on his promise, and neglected to make the payments. And very recently, as he became more and more relevant over the last few years, he suddenly announced to everyone that he was now more than $1 billion in debt, and proudly admitting it, with Kiyosaki saying that
if I go bust, the bank goes bust. Not my problem.
But it might be his problem, because it certainly becomes a problem for other people, specifically
$1 billion in debt is crazy, bro. I know there's good debt and bad debt, but $1 billion in debt just sounds ridiculous. There's no way.
Taxpayers, many of whom are struggling to make ends meet, many of whom might actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad to get out of their financial situation. And so when people like Kiyosaki go into debt and are unable to pay what they owe, the money has to come from somewhere, and usually it's the taxpayers' pockets. But rather amusingly, Kiyosaki has blasted Grant Cardone for being a fraud. Now don't get me wrong, Cardone is kind of a fake guru, and I've discussed him before in this fake guru video here. However, there is something a little, shall we say, rich about Kiyosaki highlighting Cardone's multiple flaws without actually acknowledging his own. For instance, Kiyosaki has close ties to Amway, an American multi-level marketing company that's been labeled a fraudulent pyramid scheme. Not surprisingly, you'll never hear Kiyosaki talk about Amway or his history with the disgraced company. But what makes Kiyosaki so bad and so problematic is that he's so influential. He has for years inspired new generations of mini Kiyosakis via his much criticized seminars, primarily focused on the real estate industry. The seminars are characterized by excessive promotion.
I feel like anytime I see someone that's like a finance guru, I always feel like they're lying. They don't care. There's not even if you have the information to teach a course to like show people the path they should be on, they still have to get on the path themselves. Like it's not just gonna happen. And like they make it seem like they have the secret formula. Once you take their course, you're a millionaire, but they could be setting you up to finesse the dollars out of other people's pockets. Capitalism, right?
Extensive use of leverage, and lack of any specific details. Moreover, his Rich Dad education seminars have been the subject of multiple investigations and shocking revelations. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Did you know that browsing the internet without a VPN is like peervpn.com for internet access today? You see, the first seminar was free, they always are. The second one cost almost $500, and the third one a whopping $45,000 at one point. The seminars are largely based on the aforementioned bestseller Rich Dad Poor Dad, quite literally labeled as one of the dumbest financial advice books out there, as it contains numerous factual errors and a string of extremely unlikely accounts of events that supposedly occurred. But for those who haven't read it, Rich Dad Poor Dad is Kiyosaki's story of growing up with two dads. The first, his real father, Poor Dad; the second, his father of his best friend, Rich Dad, and the ways in which both men shaped his views on making money and investing it. Ostensibly, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a work of non-fiction. In reality, however, it does appear to be the opposite. You see, there never really was a rich dad. He was made up, but readers were made to believe that he was real. Kiyosaki has also made an enormously lucrative living from selling his story, and actively encouraging others to pay inordinate sums of money to hear it. But these lies are relentless. He continuously attempts to reinvent himself and find ways to stay relevant. In recent times, obviously desperate to remain relevant, he goes on about being $1 billion in debt and entering the red pill space, appearing on any podcast he can to give his cheap hollowed out advice. And he also appears to be very close with Rollo Tomasi, real name George Miller, the so-called godfather of the Red Pill gurus, where he's had him on his own podcast, Rich Dad Podcast, many times, with the two men even collaborating to pump dubious crypto projects together. And who are the most likely to invest in crypto? Young, lonely men who have been trodden on by society and the Red Pill, many of whom find themselves.
These guys are big scammers, bro. I don't like he put a video together, Moon put a fire video together for us to watch. But these guys are scammers. They're literally scamming and plotting on everyone. And instead of saying that they code it as something positive,
in financial dire straits who are told that women only want money, which makes them particularly receptive to the Red Pill Kiyosaki message. But for Kiyosaki, now 76 years of age, entering the Red Pill sphere just seems like such a low-level move to make. He is in many ways the grift that keeps on grifting, but another grifter that deserves close attention is a nauseating individual by the name of Kevin David. Known online
I don't even
as
know
the
who this
unemployed
is.
CEO, David is known for offering entrepreneurial courses to thousands of supposedly inspired individuals. He shot to prominence primarily by encouraging individuals to leave their 9-to-5 grind and follow him down the path of financial freedom. However, it later became clear that the path was in fact a dead end, and that he built his online presence by using fake followers, deceptive titles, and paid promotions. Like every other scammer, Kevin utilized his own unique methods for luring in unsuspecting victims. In his case, he strategically targeted social media platforms and tailored his content to captivate his audience. Initially, it worked a charm. By flaunting his opulent lifestyle, driving expensive cars, and visiting various destinations, he enticed individuals with the promise that they too could experience such lavishness. A quick look at his content, however, and it becomes increasingly clear that David was not an original thinker, and that many of his claims seemed at best disingenuous. And David's world came crashing down when coffees that are exposed.
Bro, he literally looks like a scammer though. These dudes look like, you can look at them and tell like they're, come on.
Him as a hack who made a very decent living from deceiving his followers. Like so many fake financial gurus, David was quick to jump on the crypto train when it started to gain some steam. But in November of 2022, after investigating David, the FTC found that he had ripped off consumers by manipulating reviews and making empty promises of big returns on cryptocurrency investment schemes and bogus business programs. In addition to promoting fraudulent crypto schemes, David, whose real name is Kevin David Hulse, was also found guilty of promoting YouTube scams related to Amazon FBA. David promoted his e-commerce scheme as the only investment everyone on the planet should make. According to the FTC, David and his company DK Automation made multiple claims about the supposed huge profits consumers could make with their programs, using testimonials that did not reflect the experience of any consumer. Moreover, in many cases, the company manipulated online reviews by falsifying positive reviews and flagging negative reviews that resulted in their removal. Oh, and the company agreed to provide refunds to consumers on the condition that they remove their complaints. David, a real low-life scumbag, was fined $2.6 million. Initially, he was ordered.
He was paying people to remove the negative comments. I promise you, dude is definitely moving intelligent. Because there's no way. There's no way. Like, he said, hey guys, we'll give you a refund if you just like what we're doing. Just like it. There we go, much better. To me, ridiculous though, that's like crazy.
To pay $53 million, but the order was partially suspended due to his inability to pay. In other words, the cash-making guru is out of cash, and now that the world knows this, and all the lies that he has sold, he will never orchestrate a successful scam again. But one cannot discuss fake gurus without discussing cults, which brings us to Dan Lok, a slippery snake who employs cult-like tactics to swindle unsuspecting customers out of huge sums of money. The managing partner of Dragon X Capital, a venture capital firm that supposedly raises dragons with an X factor, Lok is an incredibly dangerous guru. According to his personal website, Lok is a globally respected entrepreneur mentor and one of the world's most watched, followed, and quoted social media influencers with over tens of millions of followers across his brands. But in truth, he's a globally renowned con man who has been covered by Entrepreneur, Forbes, Money, Business Insider, and TEDx. And with 1.8 million followers on Instagram and almost 5 million YouTube subscribers, his reach is massive. Through his mentorship and predatory advisory programs, he has built a career of luring students with false promises and brainwashing them into spending $26,000 on what are better described as utterly useless fake courses. Lok has convinced students to quit their jobs and invest in his programs. Many of these individuals who took his advice went into debt and suffered immensely, both financially and psychologically. One of his students used to be a civil engineer, but soon after joining Lok's program found himself homeless.
Does he know you're homeless?
Yes.
Dan Lok knew you were homeless during this
Yes.
thing, and
Yes.
his course, you're saying, is what made you homeless.
Yes. And he was still going after me.
Locke is similar to Ty Lopez.
There's just when you guys see this stuff, do y'all believe it? Whenever I see a program tailored like this, or someone's like, "Yeah, let me sell you my course," and it's not a course that's built up on skills like that you can physically go learn yourself, then it's like, what? They're not selling you anything. They're putting a bunch of jargon on the board and making it look really good. And by telling you all these things, they make you feel like you can do it, but they've took your money, so they don't care if you can do it.
Both men excel at selling a dream, but once you enroll in one of their courses, the dream quickly becomes a never-ending nightmare. Now, Locke was born in Hong Kong in 1981, relocated to Ontario at the age of 14, and similar to any other fraudulent guru, Dan asserts that his journey to wealth began at a young age. But dig a little deeper though, and you'll see that he has failed with 13 different companies. Yes, 13. This should be enough to put off any potential students. Yet somehow, the host of the $1 Billion Startup podcast still has the gall to charge up to $52,000 for his courses. And what are these courses in exactly? Mostly useless ones like copywriting, email marketing, public speaking, and sales. His whole narrative revolves around his experience of growing up in complete poverty. During his youth, his parents went through a divorce, his father disappeared, and his mother was left to single-handedly raise him. But is it just me though, or does every fake guru have the same story? Remarkably though, everything took an incredible turn in his teens when he learned how to copyright, and ever since, Locke has excelled in selling his courses, a fact that was illustrated in the Netflix show Money Explained, which did shine a light on him. But he isn't just a fake guru. Locke has something called the Inner Circle, where students have chosen him, the master over everything. Once they dedicate themselves to Locke, they can enter his private circle if they have completed a 7-week, $2,500 course. And the Inner Circle, according to Locke, is like a university for high-end selling. Not surprisingly, to gain access, you have to pay a minimum of $2,000, then $200 per month. However, an ex-student told CoffeeZilla, the Inner Circle consists of nothing but empty promises and never-ending payments to Locke.
And from what I learned, you know, if you have no sales experience, I guess like it's an okay introduction.
No, it's garbage, dude. It's so garbage. It's so garbage.
Moreover, students are pressured into engaging in high-ticket sales, a notorious practice of trying to sell expensive products or services of high value. And with Locke, there was always an upsell. There's always another course.
And then you take the course and immediately you find out, okay, well, there's an upsell. At the end of the course, you're not ready. You need to go from like high ticket closer, which is one of the products, to inner circle or like the level up, right?
You'll never finish with the product, as there's multiple.
Yeah, because that's how you be a salesman. You sell, and keep pushing products and always have something better than what you just gave them, but not too good so you can have something better. I just think a lot of people don't have life experiences, and they think every time they see something, their eyes get shiny and they're like ready to jump.
Inner circles within the inner circle. Locke attracts these people by pumping tons of money into Google ads. But once you're in the door, you're required to constantly pay for access to Dan Locke's wisdom, according to CoffeeZilla. One teacher who spoke with Coffee spent $25,000 on Locke's courses, went into significant debt, and had nothing to show for their suffering. And where it gets even creepier is that, like any good cult, anyone who speaks out against Locke is immediately threatened or silenced. One woman, someone who had paid Locke a huge sum of money, started a Facebook group to discuss her concerns about his teachings, philosophies, and mentoring skills. So Locke immediately threatened her with legal action. He is a swindler of the highest degree, and a cult-like one. He's actually being sued for failing to pay rent on a $35 million mansion he claims to have owned, and it actually turned out to be a weekend rental penthouse.
Just yesterday, we got a report in the Vancouver Sun saying entrepreneur sued for alleged failure to pay rent on West Vancouver home.
Using this just to record content and deceive people. But another person that needs to be stopped is Henderson, a fake guru who, like Locke, excels at weaving narratives and selling expensive lies. Known as the trucking guru
I just swear that y'all boys can't fall for every single thing.
on social media, Henderson has established an online school where she claims to have amassed a staggering $100 million. How? Well, by teaching her students how to earn 7-figure incomes in the trucking sector. She promises to show you how to leverage the supposedly recession-proof industry. But considering the trucking industry is dying, especially with the rise of AI, and appears to have been dying for quite some time now, Henderson's claims certainly raises eyebrows. How can this woman be so wise, so knowing, so influential, and so rich? Well, on closer inspection, Henderson's big promises conflict with objective reality. On TikTok, you'll find numerous videos discussing her scams and dishonesty. As the YouTuber Spencer Cornelia points out in this video, the Black Queen is actually an ex-felon, masquerading as a multi-millionaire business guru.
Did you ever get caught up in
Yes.
that? Or did you end up having to do like any jail time or anything?
Yes.
Oh, talk to us
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
but that's why I do this. Like, I'm a felon, so I know what it's like to not be able to actually make good money.
Right.
Records of her business dealings, which are publicly available, contradict Henderson's claims entirely, and although she did establish an LLC called Capital Choice Trucking, it ceased operations on the 7th of February 2023, and only had a mere 4 registered drivers, whereas she claims to have more than 80 drivers. TTG Logistics, another LLC established by her, seems to still be operational, although it lacks the necessary authorization to actually function. Moreover, it only employs 3 drivers, meaning that it more than likely operates with a maximum of 3 trucks. On the other hand, TIOGA Brothers Freight, the third company, doesn't possess any trucks or drivers at all. 0. There's actually no evidence in the public records to suggest that she owns more than 140 trucks, even if her Instagram bio would have you believe otherwise. At most, as the public records show, she owns a handful. Also, if she is as successful as she claims to be, someone who was on the record saying that she regularly makes tens of thousands of dollars in a week, then why would she have been evicted? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. In Fort Worth, Texas, specifically in Tarrant County Court, Henderson was previously evicted from her apartment in 2017, and subsequently in 2018, she encountered another eviction from a different apartment. According to the fake guru's misfortune, she was once again evicted from a 3rd apartment. Henderson didn't attend college. In fact, as she openly admits, she didn't even graduate high school. Yet she was shrewd enough to craft this rags to riches narrative and offer courses that she stole from another guru, according to Spencer, purporting to teach students, some of which include dancers and drug dealers, ways to make millions in the trucking industry. In truth, she's taught really nothing, but she's taken a lot of money. In fact, last year an ex-student actually sued Henderson for stealing a huge sum of money from them, which was discussed in Spencer's video. Initially, they paid $2,500 just to get her attention, and soon after they received a call from a guy named Frank, asking if they wanted to buy a truck worth $40,000 from Henderson. They said yes, they did, and wired the con artist the cash. They waited over a year for the truck to arrive, but it never did, and there's other similar stories of being swindled out.
Bro, she charged him $40K for a truck that she wasn't gonna send to them. And they wired that type of money over with no contract. Y'all got no physical contract made, created, and notarized?
Out of lumps of cash. Now, Henderson claims to have been involved in the trucking industry for over 15 years, and in this time claims to have made tens of millions of dollars. Yet the facts paint a different picture. She's an ex-felon with a history of deceiving honest, unsuspecting victims. She's a charlatan, and her empire may exist in her head, but doesn't actually exist in the real world.